Sorry about that, Jake. How's it going, man?
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
What's up? Yeah, do you want to get I don't know who's on the Spawn account, but you want to get them up on stage just to get some exposure?
Yeah. 1 sec.
Okay, cool. I think we got Joseph on there.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. I think I just saw Joseph in that group chat say that he's in, so I'm just assuming it's him.
We should. No. I'm actually on the Spawn account on my computer. We should have Joseph and Arthur in here as well. If they're
Yeah,
requesting to
yeah.
speak,
I
you
mean,
can let them
it's
in as
not like
well.
too important, because it's still getting pushed up to the top, which is good. At least on my phone, it is. But I want eyes on it and get some community follows on it and all that good stuff. So
Yeah. Of course, I appreciate that. Let me. Arthur or Joseph, if you're listening, can join from that account. That'd be great. But if not, I'm downloading it on my second device right now, so not a worry.
cool, right on. So while you do that, Jake, I know we've had you on before, but before we get started, for folks that weren't in that space and aren't familiar with you, do you want to give a quick background into yourself, and then we can jump into Spawn?
Awesome. Yeah. And just before I get started, Joseph and Arthur, feel free to request to speak so you can introduce yourself as well. But yeah, thanks for having me, Noah. Again, nice to be on here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. What's up? For those who weren't on the last page with Texas Blockchain, my name is Jake. I'm a student at UT Austin right now, University of Texas at Austin. I am studying management information systems and computer science here. I also minoring in finance. And the reason I was actually on this conversation last time was because of Texas Blockchain, a club on campus that I'm the president of. Aside from that, and more relevant to this conversation, is a company, Spawn, that I started honestly about a year ago. So I guess just like my intro into Web3 was like around in the summer of like 2020, like DeFi summer. Kind of just bought some random coins, bought Ethereum, bought Bitcoin, didn't really do anything with it, just kind of held, and eventually it kind of went up without, like, I put like 50 to $100 into each of them, and it went up, and then I saw it and I was like, okay, like this is interesting. So that was kind of like my entrance into the space, and then it really took off once I came to campus here, got involved with the blockchain club, got involved with the Web3 community here in Austin, and ever since then it's just been a great journey. So I guess that's just like a brief intro into myself.
Beautiful. And yeah, that was a great time to buy some Bitcoin and ETH. Jake, so you started Spawn about a year ago. Tell us about it. Give us a high-level overview into the vision, and then we can kind of jump into nuts and bolts as we go.
Awesome. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's about a year ago. It was at South by Southwest of last year, 2022, that I was the vice president, or maybe even the head of marketing of the Texas Blockchain Club at the time. And there was a ton of companies coming up to me saying, Jake, like, how do I get in touch with students? How do I start supporting these blockchain clubs? How do I hire students? How do I mentor these startups? And that was happening from companies all over the country. They were just flocking to like these top universities, top blockchain clubs, top like Web3 centric cities, looking for student talent. And in the same sense, I was also getting an introduction to different schools at the time. So I had the opportunity to travel to Boston for the MIT FinTech conference. A couple months later was Consensus, where I was meeting tons and tons of students here in Austin. And in a similar sense, how companies were looking for the students, there were a ton of students just looking to connect with each other, one, and two, with so they're looking to connect with one, each other, and two other companies in the space for just kind of on both sides of the market there. So the original impetus for this student community that I wanted to build about a year ago was really just like this, like I say, a community between students and companies in the space. And it's really nothing more than that when I first came up with the idea. Between the months of February and I'll say May of 2022, I must have talked with over like 600 students from different schools. I was just getting on like 10, 15 calls a day with blockchain club leaders around the country, with students at different universities interested in Web3, just kind of introducing myself, hearing about them, hearing their story, hearing what would interest them in this type of student community that I was looking to build. And I did that for so long, and I'm still doing it. I'm still meeting new students every single day, which is super, super exciting. Come March, June, obviously I didn't get an internship at this point. I really liked the vision of like, I wasn't sure what I wanted to build, but I wanted to build it out. And come May, school ends. I have a whole summer to work on this vision that I had. So took all of June, July, part of August to work on this. And what we landed on was this initial like fellowship idea. You know, the idea of that definitely changed around a lot. We initially had like an idea of having like 500 students in different tiers in our community, but what we finally nailed down on was this fellowship idea. So in September 2022, we launched our first program as part of our community. This was our inaugural cohort, I'll say, and it was a really awesome success. I think it was definitely like a learning experience, trying to like build a community, increase engagement, get people to actually work together when they may not see the incentive right away. But it was awesome. We took about 30 students to San Francisco, full expenses paid for Converge 22. We were sponsored by Circle for their conference in San Francisco. It was fantastic to meet all the fellows in person, bring everyone out for like an in-person experience. Not everyone. I mean, conferences are expensive. It costs like hundreds of dollars for the plane tickets. Tickets for the conference are usually free, but we had, I think, like Tuesday to Saturday in San Francisco, just touring around, going to different events as part of the actual conference. We actually had our own conference on stage, which was awesome. But overall, Cohort 1 was heavily a mentorship program. It was a program where students were able to meet each other from around the country, and students were able to meet different professionals in the space. And there were actually a lot of success stories that came from it. Like, I still go on Twitter and I see the Cohort 1 fellows commenting and interacting with each other on Twitter. They're interacting in our old group chat still. Some of the mentors we had for Cohort 1 are now advisors for Cohort 1 fellows. So it's definitely very exciting that all the successes that came out of it. So moving past Cohort 1, we're in about November, December of 2022 now. And what we have in the pipeline is our Series 2 programs. These are our fellowship and now studio. What we decided to do was niche down a little bit and offer two distinct programs. One specifically for technical students, software developers, people who want to code. The other for pretty much anyone else, I'll say. It's more so geared towards students interested in venture capital. What they do is research into different verticals of Web3. But these are the two programs that we're going to be launching in January. That's what we're planning in November, December of 2022 at this point. And at this point, we're nailing down our vision. We're nailing down like what we actually want to become. And this is where we land on the idea of like a Web3 student accelerator. We want to be the place for students not only to come and meet other students, to meet professionals in the space, to get mentors, and to travel. We want to be the hub for everything a student can need in Web3 when it comes to everything I just mentioned, plus more. Finding a job, getting funding, anything that a student may be looking for, we want to be the hub for. So that's like the long-term goal. And how we're starting right now is just building that foundation through these programs. So we're building our community, building that trusted community through these programs right now in hopes to become, a true accelerator down the line. So Cohort 2, Series 2 is in works right now. We are in week 4, I believe. We just had our cohort meeting last night. No, week 3. Last night was our third week for the second cohort. And it's going really well. There's a lot of we increased the amount of students for this cohort, so loving the interaction between the students, and yeah, we're looking forward to what comes out of this cohort. We definitely have some more tangible aspects out of Cohort 2 than we did with Cohort 1 when it comes to like output in terms of research papers and projects built. So hopefully that wasn't too long, but that's kind of an overview of how Spawn came to be and what the vision is moving forward.
No, I think it's a great point to pause, and let's start from the top. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. You said you were at South by Southwest. You had this idea of bringing students together where they could network, they could get opportunities. And Jake, if you don't mind, brother, mute your mic so that I'm not getting the feedback.
Apologies.
No worries, man. So yeah, you said between February and May, you talked to 600 students at different universities across the nation, and I'm assuming even globally. How were you getting in touch with all these students?
So no one ever likes this answer. It was really just cold outreach for most of it. And I was utilizing LinkedIn. I was utilizing Twitter. I was utilizing, you go on these different blockchain club websites. You can find their email right away. And that was the start of it, where I was just spending a lot of time doing cold outreach, a lot of time just introducing myself to students who had no idea who I was. However, it wasn't long before I was getting on calls with people and they said, "Oh, like I know you're building a student community thing. Like I've spoken to other students that I've spoken with you. Like they love what you're trying to do and they love your vision. They love talking with you." So it wasn't long before people were referring me to speak with other people, or I would get on with the president of UIUC and who say, "Oh, you have to talk with this person at Michigan," and the Michigan person would say, "Oh, you have to talk with this person at Wisconsin," and so on and so forth. So it started with the cold outreach, but it quickly turned into almost like a referral system for people that wanted to talk about this community that I was building.
Hey, man, more power to you on the cold outreach. I don't know why you said people don't seem to like it, but that's the way to get things done. I can guarantee you that Whale Coin Talk, the aquarium, would not be as big as we are if we weren't cold reaching out to people on different social media platforms. So kudos to you for getting that kick started. You said come.
100%, and you got to utilize the students, the fact that I'm a student as well. If anyone here is a student, like professionals are way more inclined to reply to your cold outreach if like your header is regarding you being a student, or like your first line is regarding you be a student. Like many professionals and adults that I know are very receptive of student inbound. But that's on a
Yeah,
different topic, I guess, from students.
no. It's such a great point, and you made another great point. You said that eventually, when you started reaching out to people, they already knew of you, and I had that similar experience. We had that similar experience. I went to NFT.NYC last year, and no one really knew us. And now, when I talk to people, there's word of mouth. So I'm bringing it back to you guys. You kind of have this 6 degrees of separation, and eventually now when you reach out to people, they know who Spawn is. They know what Spawn is. They know what you guys are about. You don't have to go through those cold calls. Usually, you still might have to, but you don't have to go through that same calling approach that you did early on. I think it's tremendous. So March and June, you said you didn't get an internship. What kind of internships were you looking into? I mean, I'm glad you ultimately dedicated all your time to Spawn, but what were you looking for?
Sorry, can you repeat that last part? I must have cut out in that last section.
Yeah, no worries at all. So you said that come March and June, you were looking for internships, but you didn't end up getting any that you wanted. So you decided to dedicate all your time to Spawn, which is great. But I was curious to know what kind of internships you were looking into.
Oh, no, so I must have misspoke there. So I actually didn't even ever look for an internship. I never applied. I never actually did any outreach for an internship. I kind of knew March come April or so that I wanted to spend my summer on this, so I didn't even bother trying to look for anything to do. I was all in on
Uh,
Spawn at that point.
Got it, got it. I must have misheard you, so my apologies on that. All
No
right, so
worries, no
full
worries.
time Spawn in September 2022, you guys launched your first program, and this is the inaugural cohort. And essentially, you took 30. There were 30 students part of that initial cohort. You took them full expenses paid to Converge 2022. It was sponsored by Circle. How did you guys get Circle to sponsor this?
That is a good question, actually. So Texas blockchain has been one of the greatest openers for a lot of what Spawn is today. Like the people I've met in the Austin ecosystem, people I've met just through working at Texas blockchain has been really incredible. It was that Consensus 2022 last year, which was hosted in Austin in about June, I believe. That my roommate actually took me out to brunch with this person he knew at the Stellar Foundation. And I was coming in from Austin. I was crashing on my friend's couch. He invited me to brunch. Super nice of him. And I said, yeah, like let's do it. Didn't know who this person was, but nothing came of that brunch right away. I'll say the Stellar Foundation wasn't really interested in what we were doing, and nothing really moved on from there. A couple months later, I am doing this cold outreach for sponsorships for our first cohort because I met the woman in June, and when it came to August or so, I was looking for sponsors for our cohort because we needed professionals to talk to, we needed funds to host events and everything. I get to this sorry, I keep saying girl. I get to this woman's LinkedIn, and I see she's moved to Circle from the Stellar Foundation. So I shoot her an email. I said, hey, remember me from brunch? This is what I'm building. This is what we're looking for. And originally, I didn't even know about Converge 22. It's a relatively small conference. I think they had 4,000 to 5,000 people there, as opposed to Consensus, which is like 20,000 Youth Denver, which is probably, I actually don't even know. I would say like 30 plus. And we get on a call, and she says, I start asking for funds because we're hosting these events. And she's like, we'd love to take you guys we'd love to get you guys involved with our Converge 22 conference happening in September. And this was like a month and a half before it was actually planned to happen. So this was all like super, super quick on short notice. And we pushed it through the pipeline, got it all ready. They made us their preferred students student community partner, I'll say, for this. So we were able to bring people in our cohort plus extra students that we had in our network as well, which is really exciting. And so that was kind of like the way I got in touch with Circle at that point.
Hey, Jake, just a quick side note. As someone that's experienced with this, how powerful of a social media network is LinkedIn?
It is. So between those months of February and May, I must have been on LinkedIn 2 to 3 hours a day. They give you I don't have the paid version, so it is very, very powerful as an unpaid version. I utilize all the free stuff that they allow you to do, like the 300 characters that they give you for someone. Like you can add a note to someone, but when you connect with them, like those 300 characters are crucial because you can't come off as like a scammy stock message that someone is trying to get business from. Because at the end of the day, I wasn't trying to get business from these students. I would really, truly just wanted to connect with them. So you had to send I'll say a powerful kind of 300 character message in those notes. But it is really, really powerful other than that. You can see exactly who works at every company. You could see exactly who ran their blockchain club when they were in college. You can see when you start doing these emails, and you can find a similar connection with your backgrounds. Maybe they went to UT or they grew up in New York. There's always those similar connections you can make that will increase the likelihood of getting a response.
I love it. We have big LinkedIn advocates here at Whalecoin Talk. Donut's one of them. He's in the audience. So how was that experience going? And by the way, the 30 students that went to Converge 2022, how many different universities were they from? And what was the experience like going there with all the students?
So I believe it was probably 30 students from 24 unique universities. That was incredible. That was I went there from Tuesday to Sunday. I stayed an extra day in San Francisco. I wanted to say Palo Alto and everything. But the 3 days that I was at the conference with the students, it was really, really incredible. The reason I loved what we did with Converge 22, taking students to taking these group of 30 students to a conference that there's not many. Actually, there were no other students at, I'll say, or maybe a handful. Is that there was just an outsized impact that we were able to make because we were the only students there. So each day during lunch, we had our own section. Everyone knew where to find the students. We had our own panel. People, all the professionals that wanted to get in touch with students, went to our panel. But more than that, it was also beyond the conference. So we got there Tuesday, registration day, all that stuff. Spent Tuesday night walking down, I forget what it's called, Pier 41, or I'm not a San Francisco native. Someone is probably cringing at me not knowing that, but the pier with all the restaurants and stuff. We spent the whole night there Tuesday night. Wednesday, spent the day at the conference, then hit up the Golden Gate Bridge, and then went to dinner all together, and then went to like the SF MoMA. Thursday, same thing, went to the conference, then did a ton of activities afterwards. We hit up like the baseball stadium. We went to Alcatraz on one of the days. We did brunch like every day together. So it was also like being at the conference together, but it was even cooler just spending time in San Francisco and exploring the city all together, because most of us haven't been there before. That was my first time there as well. So the experience there was really, really incredible beyond just the conference. But it also was cool actually being on stage, being all mic'd up. I was actually the moderator of our talk, and it was about like university blockchain clubs on campus. So it's kind of just natural to talk about. But overall, it was an incredible experience. I actually love San Francisco. I know it gets a lot of hate, but for being dirty or for being, I don't know, all the political stuff now. But I actually like the city. I thought it was like, at least the parts I was in, which I guess were probably the really touristy parts, were pretty nice.
Yeah, it sounds like you hit all of them, and it's quite the beautiful city, historic city as well. You also mentioned a mentorship program as part of Cohort 1. Tell us a bit about that, and what are the students, I guess from your small sample size, typically interested in as far as Web3 aspirations?
So the first cohort was like a mix of a lot of different types of students. It was entrepreneurs, it was developers, it was tech, it was researchers, it was venture capital, students interested in venture capital. There was no true demographic, I'll say, we were really aiming for with the first cohort. And that was good and bad. So it was good because students got to meet people in a lot of different disciplines and just connect with people that were interested in slightly different things. But the downside to that was that there was no central project you could get these students to all work on. There was no central engagement point for them all to work on. That's why we first of all, that's why we landed on the current fellowship and studio model with the research and then development focused programs. But that said, the central aspect of cohort 1 was mentorship. We were giving these students opportunities to speak with professionals in the industry, get advisors for their companies, talk about their entrepreneurial journeys. It was really unstructured. I don't want to say unstructured. Yeah, it was. And that's what students loved about it. They loved kind of like, they knew it was the inaugural cohort. They knew this was being built by students. They knew this like wasn't like a huge professional program being built by VCs. And that's what a lot of them loved about it. They loved that every week was just something new. Every week they had the chance to meet with different people. So we gathered a group of, I'll say, 20 mentors, or it was kind of fluctuating. And these were professionals in the industry who just wanted to help out. They wanted to talk with students. They wanted to get in touch with the student demographic. And we would give these students the opportunity to just talk with them, get in an AMA, get in a Q&A, get on a one-on-one interview with them. And the students found that to be very, very valuable. And I guess just tying this into another interesting topic. I'm not sure where exactly, I don't want to take it in a different direction, but
let's go with it. Let's go with it.
Yeah, this was around the time that I started like truly building a team around Spawn. And, there were a lot of students, there were a lot of people coming to me saying like, I love what you're building, would love to kind of get involved with that, like would love to help out. And, at this point it was, I don't think Tony is on this call. If someone named Tony requests to join, you can make him a speaker as well. But at this point it was like me, Tony, who is a recent graduate from NYU, and Fabio, who is a student at Stanford. It was really us three, I'll say, up until the point of September. And then luckily, I met Zuhair, who applied to Cohort 1. This is an interesting story. So we got on a call for our interview for Cohort 1. He's like, yeah, like I'd love to be of help with your website. Like this was at the point when our website was a Notion page. And I was directing everyone to our Notion page as our website because I didn't know how to build it and it wasn't worth my time, or I thought it wasn't worth my time at that point. So I get off the call with Zuhair and I said like, yeah, like let's keep in touch. Like I would love to have you work on the marketing website event stuff with us. I get a text the next morning from Zuhair and he sends me a fully complete Webflow page for our website without me even saying, like, I said like, yeah, sure, let's work on it in the future. So this guy, insane work ethic, just sends me a website, and from that point forward, he's been running our website. He's been everything design brand wise. Zuhair has been fantastic. I'm messing up like the chronological order of this as well. This is probably in about October or November that I was checking out the applicants for Cohort 2 that was starting in the new year. And I see this guy who just, I believe, recently graduated from James Madison University. And he was building like this really, really cool student community, like, or this idea for a student community. And it wasn't too flushed out at the point, and it wasn't too, I'll say far along. Yeah, flushed out is the right word, I'll say. And I get on a call with him, and we kind of just like hit it off right away. He's like, yeah, I'm building this super cool thing. We realized our ideas were pretty similar. And he's like, hell yeah, like let's join. Like, I love this community centric company that we're looking to build. And that was Arthur, who I believe is on the Spawn account right now. I'll finish introducing the team before I'll hand it over to him for an intro. And then I think it was a little before I met Arthur, actually, it definitely was, actually, that I met Joseph, who lives in Connecticut, and we've known each other for a while. We met each other over the summer just from a mutual connection to some companies we both knew. And he started telling me about like these community events he wanted to start holding in Connecticut with the local schools around the area. And it just kind of lined up perfectly with the vision that's fine. Like, what he wanted to do was bring students from different universities together in the Connecticut area. And we got to talking. He's like, let's just do that on a nationwide, eventually global scale. So that's kind of how I met Joseph, kind of going through other people. And then, funny enough, we were actually supposed to partner with, I don't want to say that because this is recorded, but we were in talks with Coinbase, and we were potentially going to partner with them. And then they went through a pretty hefty round of layoffs. And the person that I was in touch with there was the lead of university recruiting, the head of university recruiting. And he actually lives in Austin. So we've met up in person a couple of times to discuss this partnership, how he could actually move forward. And fortunately, he was one of the people that got laid off during the Coinbase rifts, I'll say. And we get in touch afterwards. And he's like, I love what you guys are building. I love the vision. Would love to kind of help out. Would love to work with you guys here. So Brendan has been an amazing add to the team. He's been helping out with all like strategy, partnerships, sales, kind of not sales like with professionals and like the client side of things. So that's been really, really awesome. So that we have a team of 7 right now. It's been really, really great to have other people supporting the vision. And like, I think we all are in the same boat of like what we are building that foundation for right now. Like right now, we're just doing these programs. We're just building our community out, but it's the foundation for something much, much more. Whoever's on the Spawn account, feel free to chime in. I'm not sure exactly who that is.
Yo, what's going on? It's Art. What's going on? Noah, Whale Coin Talk. Jake, thank you for the intro.
Did I get our story right?
Yeah, you did. I mean, it's awesome. I feel like for Web3, it's super important. Like, community is at the base of everything that you do. So just being able to be on Twitter and interacting with students and, trying to grow this community has been a really awesome experience, and it's just setting up the backbone for what we're about to do.
Love it. You can introduce yourself quick if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I'm Art. I run the Twitter account. I just graduated like half a year ago from James Madison University, and I was working on something similar, just trying to build a student community because, I mean, for me, I just love really talking to people, especially students who are passionate about the space. And it's something that I didn't really get to do much of like during my time at university because my blockchain club was kind of small. And so, I just set out to meet as many people as I could in the space and just got lucky getting in touch with Spawn because, I share the same vision and it's been awesome.
All right, so audience members, throw a follow on that Spawn account. They're doing incredible things. And okay, Arthur, Jake, you guys have built a team of 7, a strong team of 7, and a community to go along with it. Where do you guys usually communicate? Is it on Discord? Is it on Telegram? Is it on Slack?
So we actually just recently made the switch from Telegram to Slack. Originally, like the community on Telegram was awesome because that's where everyone in Web3 is located. I'm in a ton of group. I'm in your guys' group chat on Telegram. Like I'm in all the different group chats for student communities, for blockchain clubs, and Telegram is awesome. But when it comes to like a programming experience where students need to like see every single message, it was tough having that on Telegram because people check Telegram when they have like a spare minute. They want to see like what community events are happening. They don't necessarily check Telegram for like scheduling things. So with the ability to like just add everyone in a Slack, to have different channels for different events going on, different speaking opportunities, we recently migrated over to Slack. Still love Telegram, but it's just hard to program, I'll say, with Telegram.
No, I mean, I'm not a developer, but I have quite a few friends that are, and I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Slack is the way to go. And I know a lot of developers are also on Discord. So moving past cohort 1, November to December of 2022, you guys are getting cohort 2 ready. I think you mentioned a fellowship. You mentioned 2 distinct programs, one for technical students and the other pretty much for anyone else. So VC, research, marketing, business side of things. I mean, there's a lot more to do in Web3 than just building out dApps and being a developer. So I love those 2 programs. And you also broadened the number of members in cohort 2. So can you, tell us about the fellowship. Also want to know what kind of mentors you're bringing in from the industry. So that's 2. And then we can kind of go into each distinctive program and how many students have signed up for one or the other.
Awesome. Yeah. So like you mentioned, we have 2 main programs running right now. One is our fellowship program and 2 is our studio program. Our fellowship so these are both 12-week programs. The fellowship is geared heavily towards students interested in venture capital. It's interested heavily in students interested in just diving deeper into a certain vertical of Web3 that they're interested in. So it starts off with just like an intro to a intro to a vertical of Web3 that they're interested in through a Twitter thread. This is done on an individual level. All students will do this by themselves. That's the first 3 weeks. So all these first Twitter threads are actually due next week. So everyone be on the lookout for Twitter. We'll be getting them up on our website as well. That's the first 3 weeks of the fellowship. After this is where like the group collaboration starts to kick in. So with all these topics the students are choosing, we're going to form about 6 groups, depending on who wants to be working together. And the students will work together to flush out the ideas of their Twitter thread into a longer form article, deep dive. I hesitate to say research paper because when I think research, I think like novel breakthroughs in technology, but essentially like a deep dive. And after this, that will last about 6 or 7 weeks, depending on the progress there. The last 3 weeks of this will be the venture capital focused phase, where students can essentially pitch their findings. It won't be like a formal pitch for funding. It's more just like a practice pitch to VCs for students to get experience building a pitch deck, developing a 5-10 minute pitch, and then actually pitching to VCs and analysts in the space. So that's kind of an overview of the 12-week program with the fellowship. Studio is much more straightforward. It is just 12 weeks of development. So this is a smaller cohort. We have about 12 students in our studio cohort right now, and about 3 projects are going to be built. The groups are forming right now, this week actually, and they can work on whatever they want. We don't force what they work on. It's been really great to see the groups kind of naturally just form. So one of the students came in with an idea, pitched it to the group, and a group before has already formed around that. Yesterday, we had another student pitch his idea to the group, and another group will shortly be forming around that. But the end goal of the studio is to just have an MVP of your product, something that the students can hopefully continue to work on after the fact. The mentorship side of all this and the professional connection side of all this is definitely one of the biggest value adds we try and add for these students, aside from the inter-school collaboration. I would say like those are the two main value adds we want to provide, the inter-school collaboration and the professional mentorship. So the professional mentorship side of things is, it's really just like gracious people that I've met over the last year or so that just want to talk to students, that want to help students around the country, that want to help my vision. And these are just people that just love to talk with students. They just want to hear the insights of the new demographic. And one of the main things that I hear is that they love the energy that students with students. I'm not really sure what it looks like without students on a call, and I'm a student myself. But for example, yesterday during our cohort meeting last night, we had the crypto recruiter. So if you look up like the cryptorecruiters.io, like one of the recruitment firms in the space, we had her come and give a brief introduction to herself, how she founded her company, allowed students to ask how that entrepreneurial journey has been, but then focused a lot on how students can get jobs, how students can get internships, how students can better their persona and appearance on LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. So that was last night. Last week, we had Adam Blumberg from Interaccess and Planetdow come speak, and that conversation went way over time, which was awesome. And we had like breakout rooms because we had other meetings because we have our studio meeting running right after our fellowship, and Adam Blumberg, everyone was just like so engaged in the conversation. He ended up staying for an extra like 45 minutes just talking to the students. Next week we'll have, I can actually look at my schedule right now, but like we have a bunch of different guest speakers, mentors who want to come speak and introduce themselves to our cohorts. I want to stay in touch with all the students afterwards. So we have some people from Yuga Labs, from OpenSea, from Solana Ventures. We have Miko Matsumara from Gumi Cryptos Capital coming next week. So these are kind of all like the, I'll say, one-off speakers, but people that want to stay in touch with these students and with what they're building in the future. More relevant to the heavy mentorship side of things are our partnered companies. So for the fellowship, we partnered with Shardium, an up-and-coming layer 1, for the research and venture capital side of things. Shardium has dedicated mentors to help our students in their research for the fellowship, and they host like office hours every week and always available for these students to chat with. Also for the fellowship, we partnered with Dune, obviously the analytics platform. For the studio, we've partnered up with Ava Labs. So all the students will be building their projects on Avalanche for this cohort, for cohort 2. And in a similar sense to Shardium, they provide the mentors. They're always available for these students whenever they need the help. For our events, we have a lot more partners because our events attract students. I guess one thing I didn't touch on, which I'm happy to dive into quickly with cohort 2, is our school tour. So we started about, it was actually 2 weeks ago, probably, that we did our first school tour event. So what the Spawn School Tour is essentially like we're going to about 8 different regions around the US and co-hosting events with all different blockchain clubs in the area. So for example, we went to New York a couple of weeks ago, co-hosted a student industry networking event with NYU, Columbia, and Fordham. We'll be going to Atlanta in a couple of weeks, or next week actually. We'll be going to LA and going with UIUC and UC San Diego and UCLA. We'll be going to Boston and co-hosting an event with BU, BC, MIT, Harvard, etc. And the goal of these events is, as it is in the name, is for students to network with professionals in the industry, but also to get students talking with students from other schools in the area. Because at the end of the day, if they're going to an event together, then they can easily just collaborate on so many other things if they're so close to each other. So we also kicked off our school tour 2 weeks ago. That'll be lasting through about April. But the reason I bring that up is because kind of the capstone event with both the fellowship and the studio is our student summit that we're planning right now for the summer. We're looking to bring about 60 students here to Austin for a 3 or 4 day full expense paid trip for the students in the studio to demo their project, pitch their project if they're still working on it, and for students in the fellowship to pitch their findings in person if they have any. Yeah, pitch their findings in person. So kind of the three main pillars of the student summit that we want to host is demo, pitch, and network. We're going to try and bring as many Austin-based and I guess nationwide-based VCs to this event, which will be really, really awesome. So I hope that answers your original question. That's kind of drawn out.
No, not at all, man. It answers it and some. There's a lot of exciting things happening. I can't believe how quickly you guys have grown. I love that you have two programs, right? The studio for the technical students, the fellowship for those that want to explore other avenues. And you guys have really structured them in a way. I love the structure, for example, with starting on a Twitter thread and then having that lead into a business plan, or I think that's what you, that's kind of what you broke down. We would love to get some exposure on those Twitter threads. So let us know when the students put those out. That'd be really awesome. I like the partnerships a lot. When you said the students are going to be building on Avalanche, I just was spamming my love button because I'm a big fan of that ecosystem as far as layer ones are concerned. And let's see, man, you said so much and I was trying to take notes and I'm a little scattered, but
no, all good. Well, first of all, I appreciate that with the getting more exposure on that stuff. And yeah, like would love to work together in the future for any more collaboration. But I think this is an awesome start. Now, hopefully, as our Twitter account grows, we can provide a little more value on the exposure side of things. But I think you got us beat there. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you broke it down quite beautifully. There's a lot of great opportunity, and I'm gonna ask you this: how are students able to get into Cohort 2, or is it too late?
So right now it is too late to get into Cohort 2 just because we're already 3.5 weeks into the cohort. We'll be launching, we were debating on doing a summer cohort, but we just thought that if we were spending so much time planning for Cohort 3 that was going to be happening over the summer, we wouldn't be giving our full effort and attention to Cohort 2 happening right now. So we'll be launching Cohort 3 in the fall. However, if you go on our website, the Spawn Global website, which is just spawn.global, you will see like an apply now button, and this will give you access. You can apply to our fellowship or studio now, and that will get you just like on our email list. They'll keep you up to date with everything we have moving forward with all of our events and everything. I believe we're also revamping our events page, so that new page should be up if you're in any of the areas of our school tour. We'd love to see you in person there. But yeah, unfortunately, Cohort 2 is closed for now.
Yeah, would love to. I mean, if you guys are coming through Washington, D.C. at all, I'd love to link up. I don't know if your student tour, your university tour is going to bring you into the DMV area, but let me know.
Arthur, we're not going to. We're not doing that, right? I don't believe so.
No, not this this round.
Because Arthur, you're from the DC area, right?
Yeah. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I heard
I'd love
say
to do
JMU. So
yeah, there's a lot of people from just like around the area concentrating, like Arlington, and obviously there's Georgetown. I think that could be a play in the future.
Maybe we can get a school tour event going there.
Yeah, VCU Blockchain's a partner of ours, university partner, and they're doing some awesome things with the Virginia Blockchain Council as well. Franny leads that. Just wanted to shout her out real quick.
Franny was actually in our first cohort.
Yeah, that's how I got into Spawn.
I'm not surprised at all. She's all over it, man. She's all over the place. She's killing it.
She's awesome.
So, guys, what are the plans for Cohort 3?
That is a great question. And right now, like the fellowship and studio programs that we're running are going very well. And the goal with, I'll say the next year or so, with the next 3 or 4 cohorts, is to build a sustainable, repeatable program that can eventually be run by anyone. Because obviously I can't execute on the vision of Spawn, the long-term vision I have of becoming a true student accelerator, if I'm running the program if I'm running the fellowship every single cohort. So the goal is to build a repeatable program where other students can come in, maybe like alumni can run the programs, and other like it can kind of just be like a self-feeding cycle where students that just graduated the cohorts can be running the next cohorts and so on. So the goal is really just to flush out the, I'll say, repeatability of these programs so that we can move on to bigger and better things. So the goal is just to continue what we're doing with the current fellowship and studio model.
Jake, what are your plans when you graduate? I mean, I don't even know how you have time for school and this right now, but obviously you're doing both. When you graduate, are you looking to grow Spawn full time, or do you want to do something else alongside Spawn?
So the goal is definitely to turn Spawn into a business that I can continue to work on after school. That's definitely the goal. I hope we can do that even before I graduate, so that I can, I already dedicated this whole summer to it. So I'll be working on Spawn all this summer. We have a team of 7. Only 3 of us are students right now. So Arthur has recently graduated. Zuhair, who runs our website, is a student at UT Dallas, and Fabio, who runs our studio, is at Stanford. Other than that, the rest of the team is already graduated, like all kind of part-time on Spawn, I'll say, because of other jobs or obligations. The goal is to like turn our team all full-time into Spawn. That's the goal. So, I mean, my ideal life after college is, yes, working on Spawn. I love the idea of becoming like a digital nomad. Like, I want to travel. I want to see different places. I want to live in like a different country. That's my goal, because Spawn is full remote. Come back to Austin, come back to the States whenever we have like a conference we're taking students to, whenever you have some events we're hosting. But that is definitely the goal.
Do it, man. I lived that life for several years, and it was amazing. You won't regret it.
Oh, did you? Where were you?
Oh man, I can I can list all the countries if you'd like. I was in Thailand for a while. I was in East Africa. I was in North Africa. I was all over Europe. I was in Panama for a bit. Let's see, where else? I mean, those are kind of the main regions I was in, like Southeast Asia, East Africa, all over Europe. I was in Russia for the World Cup. And working from your computer just lets you just open up. I can't really do that as much anymore, but it lets you just open up wherever you are and just grind away. And also, if you're in a country like Thailand or Portugal, where the cost of living is super low compared to the States, and you're making American dollars, it's a game changer, man. You save, like, I was in Thailand for, I think, 4 or 5 months, and I would look at my bank account and be like, I am saving money living here over Washington, D.C. So that's kind
a
of
dream. I love that.
Yeah, I know. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm happy to share any. I've traveled a lot, so I'm happy to share any insights I have on my travels. Before, I traveled a lot in college too, as well, through like abroad programs. But anyway, we're going on a tangent. Let's bring it back to Spawn. You said that you guys want to turn this into a business, and without giving away too much of your secret sauce, what are some ways and some ideas you guys have for generating revenue?
Yeah, so I mean, just the first and most relevant one is, I guess not the first. The long-term goal to becoming like a profitable business is to become a true accelerator. And like right now, we just frame ourselves as an accelerator because we have different mentorship, builds, research programs, and different events where students can kind of get all the resources. Maybe like, I'll say, an incubator. But the goal is to definitely start funding students. And I've always been super. I don't want to say always. I have a super big passion for like venture capital. I love the investing side of things, and I definitely want there to be a venture side of Spawn where we can truly like put money into and take part and partner with student founded companies, student founded projects. I think this is an extension of a lot of what we're doing in our studio, because these students are building projects. We're giving them team, we're giving them mentors, we're giving them different resources right now. We're not taking any percent of any of these projects at the moment, obviously, just because we don't have any credibility, or really there's no substance behind that to really take equity right now. But the goal is to definitely have a venture arm of Spawn and have that be our main profit driving part of our business, or revenue driving.
Well, I mean, those are some places to start, and I also love the VC side of things myself. We're not a VC, obviously, but it is a field that's always interested me. So eventually, I'd like to get there too. And again, I'm always happy to bounce ideas off of each other. And at Whale Coin Talk, we're happy to assist you guys in any way that we can to grow Spawn. I think Spawn's doing great things, and I think that students really do need tools. I can relate, by the way, to Arthur. Arthur, you said the club at JMU wasn't that big, and it was hard for you to find like-minded people. Obviously, when I went to college, there was no blockchain clubs at all. But even amongst my peers, I found it very difficult for many years, especially when I was in crypto, to connect and get people to understand. So the fact that the infrastructure now exists at the collegiate level, and you have guys like you and Jake building something like Spawn and bringing students together and giving them the opportunities to build out this industry. I always say this, and I'll say it again. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, you guys are going to be the ones that move the needle of this industry to the next level. So I love that the infrastructure is there, and I love that students are getting versed in Web3 early on in their lives. So we have a couple community members that want to ask some questions. They're always spot on with their questions. So I'm going to pass it to Venice and then go to Captain Levi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noah. Okay, I want to know that is there a plan to place? Sorry, just a second. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. So here's my question. I want to know that is there a plan in place to onboard ambassadors in different countries to visit colleges and universities, motivating students and conducting online seminars where your experts can deliver presentations and provide students with the opportunity to apply for scholarships?
So to the first part of that, yes, and good question. Thank you. As is in our name, like the goal is definitely to become global. And we've been doing so to a smaller extent to start with right now. So in our first cohort, we had, I believe, 2 international students. And our second cohort right now, we have a handful, I believe 4 or 5 international students. And so the goal is to definitely like increase the amount of international reach that we have. In terms of offering the events and speaking opportunities and resources to students abroad, internationally, 1,000% yes. That's definitely one of the goals. So we've actually come up with this idea. We flushed it out a little bit. We're right now just looking for partners for it. We have this idea called Spawn Sprints. We're looking to start getting off the ground. What this is would be educational programs that we can start offering to anyone online. This would be, just for example, if a company has a university program, let's just take Circle University, for example, because they're a previous partner. Circle would give us access to this course. We could then give access to any students, anyone internationally, to this course. And the reason we think this is special would be because Circle will then dedicate mentors who can get on weekly, bi-weekly office hours for these students to help them with their course experience, I'll say. So 2 things started going on a little bit of a different path there, but like one is, yes, we definitely want to expand our cohorts to become more international. We think this will probably come with running multiple cohorts at once in a year or 2, having dedicated cohorts to being international and non-international, because it's also very expensive to be hosting international students at our US events. You know, the flights are 3 or 4 times the price if I'm flying someone from Paris as opposed to flying someone from New York. It's a much bigger expense that we have to take into account for. And it's also a time difference, which is tough because we host our meetings at about 4 or 5 Central on Thursdays. So it's tough for people internationally to be, meeting at midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning. Second answer to that question is through our response sprints, we definitely want to be offering educational opportunities to students not in our cohorts and definitely to our broader ecosystem as well. However, there also are a ton of opportunities that we offer just through our Twitter and like different giveaways that we do that anyone could take advantage of. So we're giving away tickets to Consensus 2023. If you're a student, we're giving away free tickets to that. We're partnered up with the Crypto Academy to give special discounts to their educational program. I think it's like traditionally a $1,000 program. We're giving, I think it can get away for like $200 or something, which is still an expense, but can't avoid that sometimes. So I hope that answers your question. There definitely are things that we're trying to do to expand internationally and to grow a more global community.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I understand everything you just said, growing globally. Okay, now here's one more thing. As you said, you will be onboarding students' projects. So it caught me thinking, will you be providing any funded project ideas either to students or university teachers approaching you to get funded projects for their students? Also, providing them the guidance that is needed for developing that project idea into a meaningful product. And if yes, then what will be the procedure to reach out to you if any university teacher or either students are interested in getting those funded projects?
Sorry, are you asking if we're going to bring project ideas to these students, or are you asking if we're going to fund projects that students come to us with?
Yeah, it can go both ways. Like if some university professor, or teacher, or student approach you to get any funded project ideas, like if you guys have any project idea, so that they can work out on that project, and you guys fund them for getting all the resources that are needed to build that project into a meaningful product.
So right now with our studio, we're leaving it pretty open-ended with what students can build. They can either come in with a previous project idea and continue to flush it out with the team and mentors that we give them, or they can come in just as a software developer looking to build something in the space. And at that point, they can either team up with someone else who has an idea, or they can take an idea to build out from the backlog of the company we partnered with. At this point, no, we don't have funding to provide for these students. That is definitely a long-term goal. Like I said, with becoming an actual accelerator where we can provide more than just like, I honestly think of a lot of what we do with the developers right now is like an incubator, where incubators not a lot of the time, many times incubators don't take a percentage. They don't provide much funding. They just take in these projects, take in these companies, and they give them as many resources. They open up their network to these companies. And that's what I almost think like we're doing right now is the goal is to definitely fund these projects. And sorry, I know I'm missing one part of your question, which was how can companies get involved? You asked. You said like the university instructors. I must have misunderstood your part of the question.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just repeat that part. Okay, as you all know that in most of the universities, when students are getting their bachelor's degree, either they are in their sixth or seventh semester, they need to create a project to get a degree from that university or college. So I was saying that if any of the instructor reach out to you and ask you to provide the project ideas or get any funded project ideas from you for their students, so that their students can work on that project idea, so that they can get those necessary funding. But somehow you answered that you guys won't be providing any funding. So I think it also clears my question.
Well, the goal is definitely to provide funding in years down the line. We have to become almost we would have to raise funding to give that funding at that point. So it is definitely in the pipeline, but not in the immediate roadmap, I'll say. We are working, I think there is a value add to working with universities directly and the professors at these universities. I've had really, really great experience actually working with the cryptocurrency, fintech, blockchain focused professors here at UT. I'm also the instructor for the undergraduate blockchain and cryptocurrency course here. I think there is merit to working with these students. I'm not sure exactly what you meant by like you have to have a project to graduate with the bachelor's degree. That's not the case for me at least. But the main point in working with a lot of these professors and a lot of these universities directly is that these are people that work with students and are interested in working with more students, so that they can be really, really great mentors for a lot of students in our network. So sorry if I didn't answer your question.
Okay.
But...
Yeah, it answers my question. And yeah, thank you so much for answering my questions. And you guys are really doing something great. I think this was the gap between students and industries, and you guys are filling it. So God bless you and thank you so much.
That was actually definitely one of our original like mission statements, was like bridging the gap between students and industry professionals in Web3. If you check out like actually I don't think it's live anymore, our old Notion page, that was like the main headline. So you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Venice. Captain Levi, we have time for one quick question because I'm going to wrap things up after. We have another AMA coming up in an hour. Captain Levi, you with us? I guess not. Hey, so Jake, I think I tried to touch everything as far as my questions, and we got a lot of great answers out of you, a great breakdown of what your vision is, how you guys have evolved over time, and what your plans for the future are. If there's anything that I've missed or that you want to share with us before you part today, go ahead and do so now. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure having you on, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys again in the future.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. It was really great to have another conversation with you guys. Anything else from mine? No, I mean, feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter. I can send over my email, my Telegram. You can shoot me an email at jake@spawn.global if you have any questions. If you're a student at a university that we're not in touch with already, we'd love to hear from you. If you're a professional, a person in the industry who's looking to get in touch with students, help out students, would also love to hear from you. Can definitely get you connected to any local clubs, local universities, and get you involved as a mentor in our programs. Would love to hear from you. But yeah, other than that, would love you can just like follow the Spawn Global account and keep up with everything we have going on in the pipeline, because there's definitely a lot of exciting stuff, as we mentioned, happening, and would love to have you along for the journey. So that's it from my end. Much appreciated for the platform, Noah, for the conversation. Arthur, if you have anything on your end, would love to wrap it up with you as well. Art, you there?
No worries. No worries if he's not. I think he's just throwing the emojis, throwing the love signs. Yeah, Jake, thank you again. Arthur, thank you again. I'm excited for what you guys are going to do, and we'll be keeping a close eye on you going forward. Whale Coin Talk community, thank you for joining. Remember, everything you hear on this broadcast is meant for educational purposes only. Nothing is financial advice. So be safe, and we'll see you all in less than an hour. Bye-bye.